Oh, I loved it. My sister let me smoke in the house.
I couldn't believe it. I absolutely could not believe it. And the fact that it tasted good.
I thought they were beyond fantastic, actually. I thought they were revolutionary.
Haven't burnt any suit pants, no holes in the shirt. I mean, just that in itself is incredible.
I thought it would be the cigarette for the next century.
Hello, I'm Jim Johnston, chairman of RJR Reynolds Tobacco Company, the company that makes Winston, Salem, Vantage, and a number of other popular cigarettes. What you've just watched is the reaction that smokers around the country are having to an amazing new cigarette, one that we developed after listening to thousands of smokers like you tell us what they want in a cigarette. It has a smooth, mild taste that we think you'll find enjoyable. But compared to other cigarettes, it reduces secondhand smoke by 95%. It leaves no lingering odor, won't stain your walls, windows, or teeth, doesn't leave any ashes, and is ultra low in tar and nicotine. It's called Eclipse by Vantage, and it's being introduced to smokers like you all across the country. We're very excited about Eclipse, and we know you will be too after you've had a chance to try it. I'd like you to spend the next few moments watching as groups of real smokers try Eclipse for the very first time. You'll learn more about Eclipse and get to hear some of my co-workers answer questions about the cigarette. You'll hear smokers tell you what it's like to smoke Eclipse. Then we'll tell you how you can try this remarkable new cigarette for yourself.
Okay, I want to thank you all for coming today. And let me start by introducing myself. My name is Kevin Werner, and this is Melinda Simmons.
Hello.
And we both work for RJR Reynolds Tobacco Company, and we're here today to talk to you about an exciting new cigarette that offers a lot of unique benefits. But before we get to that, I want to start by asking a question. What is it like to be a smoker today? Anybody, open it up for me.
I think in the past 5 years it's gotten dreadful, to the point that they want to make you feel uncomfortable and embarrassed for enjoying yourself.
So my sister refers me to smoke outside. So I do that. I mean, it's downpouring and I'm outside having a cigarette, getting wet.
My wife gives me digs every day, and we get along great, and smoking is the only thing that comes between us. She doesn't smoke.
Any place you go, you have to put your cigarette out when you go in. You can't smoke while you're there. You can't have one till you're outside. Some places you can't smoke outside.
Everybody in that one room, the one auditing room, smoked, and so it wasn't a problem. We were enclosed, and people would actually come into our room to smoke. Then they decided, well, we're not going to have anybody here smoking on this entire floor, so they delegated a smoking area, which was actually a non-air conditioned fire escape.
I'm a gardener. I work outside, and we're not allowed to smoke outside. We have to go inside to a designated area to smoke. And the ones that work inside and smoke, like in the office work part, they go outside to an area to smoke.
So the insiders go outside to smoke and the outsiders go inside to smoke?
Yes.
I'm clear. Okay.
Yeah, that makes sense. Good. Who else has a good story like that?
Well, I was just recently went to a baseball game, and in the stadium, you could not smoke at your seat. You had to walk up and smoke behind the seats there.
Really, even in an outdoor stadium?
Yeah, it was outdoors, and I thought that was kind of weird.
As a real estate broker, I have people in my car constantly, and I'm always aware of the fact that they're going to, if they don't smoke, they're going to constantly smell smoke in my car. So, you know, the day before an appointment, I roll down the windows, or else have it smelling like a perfume factory when they get in.
Half my closet, I don't know about anybody else, anything that's been in the closet for a few weeks or a few months, a few years, I mean, you take them out, you've got yellow shoulder marks and stuff, and this stuff doesn't wash out.
You know, Melinda and I travel all over the country, and we do groups just like this, and we talk to smokers, and we hear the same issues and concerns, so you're really not alone out there with that. But rather than spend the next half hour talking about the problems, what we want to do today is talk about some of the solutions. And we want to introduce you to a new brand of cigarettes, and it's called Eclipse by Vantage. And it is the first cigarette that reduces secondhand smoke by 95%. It has no lingering odor, does not create any smoke stains, and does not even have an ash. Now, is this something you think you might be interested in? What?
No ashes?
No ashes.
I could smoke a cigarette and I'm not going to have any ashes falling on me.
Absolutely not.
No ashes.
That's right. You'll find that out in a moment. What do you think of that?
I think it's great.
And you think that something like this, Candace, might help you enjoy smoking even more?
Absolutely. It would get people off our backs. You know,
This would give you a way to fight back.
Right.
You could say, I smoked a considerate cigarette. I'm having consideration for your feelings.
The concept is wonderful, but if it doesn't taste right, I'm not going to buy it.
You're right, Link.
Absolutely. How about you, Tony? Is this a good idea, or is this something that...
Oh, I think it's a great idea if you can do it.
If you can do
It'll
it.
taste the same. I mean, I smoke because I enjoy smoking.
Sure. I'd like to know exactly how this works, how it looks like it's just been lit and you're getting enjoyment supposedly out of it. And
I think before we go any further, it might be helpful if we talked about how Eclipse is made and how it works. And after I hold this up, I'll pass them around for you to take a closer look. Now, you can see from looking at the Eclipse that it looks just very much like your cigarette. But an Eclipse primarily heats tobacco rather than burning it. And what makes it different is it has a high purity carbon tip on the end that's surrounded by an insulating heat barrier that keeps the tobacco from burning down. That's followed by a standard blend of fine tobaccos and then a conventional cigarette filter at the end. Now, the way it works is when you light that carbon tip, it gets hot and it stays hot while you smoke your cigarette. And it gets the tobacco just hot enough to create smoke by passing hot air when you draw over the tobacco that picks up the moisture and the flavor. And again, this smoke has virtually no odor, and it won't leave any stains on your walls, your windows, or even your teeth. And because it doesn't burn down, it doesn't leave any messy ashes to deal with. Let me pass a couple around for you to take a look at it. Now, does that explanation help you understand it?
Yes.
Now, is this going to be lights and full flavor?
There will be 4 styles when it comes out, and that's a full flavor and a mild, which have different taste levels in menthol and non-menthol. What kind of questions come to mind when you think about this whole idea?
I thought it was very impressive. I'm curious about the price. Are they going to be like competitive with normal smokes?
Good question.
Yeah.
We know that Eclipse cost us more to make because it is different, but we will be charging the same full price that you would pay for like a Marlboro or a Carlton, a Winston or a Salem.
What's the carbon tip? Is it like the charcoal I use in my grill?
No, it's not. The carbon tip is made of a much higher purity carbon than what you find in your grill.
How do you know when it's out?
Yeah, how do you know when the cigarette consumed?
There are a couple of signals that you'll get used to after you've smoked a few Eclipses. What happens is it's designed to last about 6 to 7 minutes, which is about the length of a standard king-size cigarette. When you start to get done with an Eclipse, you'll notice that you start getting less smoke, and that smoke tastes weaker. Those are signals that your Eclipse is about done.
Can you light it again? I mean, you can't just pick it up and smoke it again, right?
If you've smoked the whole thing for 6 to 7 minutes, the taste has gotten weaker, you've gotten less smoke, and it goes out, you would not want to relight it at that point because all the flavor's gone.
If you only have time for a couple quick drags before you have to do something, how do you put it out?
You really can't put it out and relight it. What'll happen is once you light it up, you get it going, and again, it lasts for about 7 minutes. If you walk away from it, it'll keep going. It might cool down. You can go back and pick it up and take an extra puff on it and get it going again. But that is one thing about an Eclipse that's different. You can't smash it out and then light it up again later.
What's that?
That's it.
I see you all noticed that very quickly.
So no more holes in the interior of the car, huh?
That's right. Because it has that insulating heat barrier around the end of it, that's why if it falls out of an ashtray, which I know has happened to me a lot, onto the table or onto the carpet, it's not going to leave any burn mark at all.
Wouldn't this
And
be a
because
lot safer as far as fires at home are concerned?
Yes, because of the way this works, Everett, it's a lot less likely to start a fire than other cigarettes.
Amazing.
And because it doesn't have any ashes, you're not going to have that situation where you knock up against it and the ashes go all over the place and burn things. Now, the tip is still hot, like other cigarettes, so you have to be careful with it, but it's a lot less likely to start a fire.
Can I smoke my cigarette now?
Yes, you may smoke your cigarette now.
That's interesting to watch everybody else they're smoking. The difference in the smoke over there and this in your smoke.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, this side of the room is all lit up over here.
There's none.
No, nobody ever said that you had to burn tobacco in order to smoke it. And really what this does is simply heats it and allows you to extract the flavor by doing that.
Any other questions?
Does it have the same properties as a regular cigarette? I mean, as far as what you're intaking into your body?
Eclipse uses a standard tobacco blend, and there's nothing in that tobacco that isn't in other cigarettes.
Maybe it'd be a good idea to show them about what's in the smoke.
Yeah, the smoke of Eclipse is quite different as well. So let's take a look at the smoke composition. If you look at a typical cigarette, smoke particles are about 20% water and glycerin. When you look at an Eclipse, on the other hand, it's basically the reverse. Smoke particles from Eclipse are 85% water and glycerin. Because the smoke from Eclipse is primarily water and glycerin, that's why it disappears so fast. And in case you're not familiar with what glycerin is, it's a colorless, odorless liquid that's used in many food products, such as baked goods, cookies, that sort of thing.
As far as nicotine, is it the same amount of nicotine in that cigarette as a regular cigarette?
Most full flavor brands have between 0.8 and 1.7 milligrams of nicotine. Light styles have anywhere between 0.6 and 0.9 milligrams, with ultralights being even lower than that, 0.1 to 0.5. Eclipse has only 0.2 milligrams of nicotine, with Eclipse Milds having 0.1 milligrams of nicotine. Okay, let's talk about Eclipse in the tar. In most full flavor cigarettes, has a tar range anywhere between 14 and 20 milligrams of tar. Now, light cigarettes have less, of course, anywhere from 7 to 13 milligrams, and ultra-low tar cigarettes have even less than that, anywhere between 1 and 6. Eclipse has only 3 milligrams of tar, and in its mild style has 1 milligram of tar. Now, for anyone who is familiar with how tar measurements are obtained, they come from cigarettes that burn tobacco. And because Melinda was talking about glycerin, glycerin is included in those measurements, but because Eclipse heats rather than burns the tobacco, the actual tar from burning tobacco is virtually non-existent.
Well, I'll put you through the test.
All right.
Sometime when you take a regular cigarette and you're blowing the smoke through a handkerchief, what does it lead? It leads a big stain on your handkerchief. What's going to happen if I do the same thing with that?
I love that you've asked that question, Lynn, because it's time now to take a look at a short video that gives a little more information on Eclipse and does some demonstrations that are pretty interesting and illustrate the benefits.
Imagine a cigarette with smoke that disappears like this and smells like this. Imagine a cigarette that leaves no ashes and leaves your windows this clear. Introducing Eclipse by Vantage, the cigarette that reduces secondhand smoke by 95%.
Hi, I'm Mark Elliott.
And I'm Carol Mays.
We're part of the team introducing Eclipse around the country, and we'd like to take a few minutes to tell you about it.
It sounds impossible, doesn't it? Cigarette smoke that's satisfying and full-bodied, but leaves no odor, no stains, and practically no secondhand smoke. I have to say, I was a little skeptical at first.
Look at the smoke when Carol exhales and see how fast it disappears. Next time you smoke your cigarette, see how long it takes for its smoke to disappear. And look at this. There's virtually no smoke off the lid end. I mean, you really have to try it to believe it. So how does it work, Carol?
It's a pretty simple idea. Eclipse primarily heats tobacco instead of burning it. Inside, it doesn't look very different, but the way it works makes a big difference in the smoke. Eclipse is made much like any other cigarette, but it's got something special, a tip made from high-purity carbon. This tip is wrapped in an insulating heat barrier that keeps your Eclipse from burning down, so the tobacco doesn't burn. The rest of the cigarette is a blend of fine tobaccos, followed by a regular cigarette filter. When you light up, you're lighting the carbon tip, so take an extra puff and a longer draw. Use a good flame. A car lighter won't work very well. Once it's lit, the carbon tip gets hot and stays hot until your Eclipse is done. As you smoke your Eclipse, the heat barrier keeps the tobacco from burning down inside the cigarette. Instead, warm air passes over the tobacco, getting it just hot enough to create a full-bodied smoke